Hello, welcome back everybody to the Juniper Veil. Today I'm going to be doing some more World Cup power predictions. So, last time I did 4 groups. I'm going to do 4 groups again this time. These are the groups that should be playing on the 13th of June. Some places list one of the groups as the 14th of June. It's depending on different time zones, of course. So I'm very excited to do this because it's actually a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun the first video I did. So, feel free to leave comments, pick cards yourself, see what you get, let me know. Because it's just so much fun. And what's going to be really neat is we get to watch the games and then see how the results come about fairly quickly. So it's this cool, like, we can check things, see how they did, see if they actually came about the way we thought. So don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that bell notification, make sure your notifications are at all so you don't miss anything. Subscribing is a big help. I'd love to get to 500 subscriptions. That'd be a big help for me, and I would definitely appreciate it. I got a new mic, so I'm checking to see how it's working. Hopefully it's working well. Let me know how it goes. If you can hear me, if you can't hear me. I did some testing and it was really good. All right, so first team we're going to look at is, let's see, June 13th, Saturday, we have Qatar and Switzerland. So they'll be playing in California, 3 p.m. California time. That is Pacific time. Qatar and Switzerland. I don't know much about either team, so we'll see what happens. And remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Don't count on what I say to place bets. That's your own choice and your own risk. I am not a sports expert, nor am I a doctor, nor am I a lawyer. Oops. So, Qatar and Switzerland. I practiced how to pronounce Qatar. So hopefully I am pronouncing it correctly. There is no technical English way to say it, so I'm doing the best I can. I'm going to have Qatar on my left, Switzerland on my right. I'm going to pull 3 cards for each. And we're going to read them and see what we get. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it seems like one team is a lot stronger or having a better game than the other. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult. All right. All right, 3 cards. So let's do Qatar first. We have the 3 of Wands, the High Priestess, and the Empress. They're nice cards. They're good cards. And then we have Switzerland. We got the Hierophant. We got the 6 of Swords. And then we got the 10 of Wands. All right, so first thing I see here with the 3 of Wands, it looks like Qatar will be looking ahead, right? They're kind of plan their way. 3s are mystical kind of numbers for like the Trinity, body, mind, spirit. They talk about self-expression, communication, and you get increased chances for a desirable outcome when you have a 3. We're looking at the self-expression, the communication, the expansiveness, the openness, the optimism, clarity. You're able to see the big picture when you get 3s. And Wands are creative. They have a lot of willpower. There's a lot of energy. So I think Wands especially are very good for any type of sports game, depending on the number. Because we do have Wands for Switzerland as well. But they have a 10 of Wands, which is a completion. And it's also like a burden because you see how this person is carrying a heavy load, right? So that says to me tiredness, exhaustion. So this Three of Wands is probably the beginning. I feel like this Ten of Wands is the end of the game. Between that, for Qatar, we have the High Priestess. The High Priestess is about knowledge. She is learning. She is recording things. And then we have the Empress. So the Empress follows the High Priestess in the major arcana. The Empress is about nurturing, is about taking care, it's about health, it's about creating something new. She's usually denoted as being pregnant. So I think these are very good cards for Qatar. Um, it says to me that they have a great positive outlook. They're excited, they're ready, they have enthusiasm. They have studied for this. So, of course, they've practiced well, but they've also probably studied the mind and communication, which is very good, right? You want to, when you go to play a big sports event, right? A lot of it is in the head too, it's in the mind. And I think they've done that. And I think they are ready to really birth a new stage for themselves within professional football. So I think they're excited and they're ready. So that's good. For Switzerland, I got the Hierophant. When the Hierophant comes up for me when I'm thinking about football games, or I think of that as like tradition, right? So they are a traditional team. They have a tradition of probably doing well. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know too much about Switzerland, but that's what the card says to me. So since they already have that tradition, they're very strong. They know what to do and how to do it. I have the Six of Swords here. Now, sixes are that time you take to pause and reflect. Comes after the fives. Fives can be rocky depending upon the situation. So usually you're coming up with a plan. In the earlier cards, you're carrying it out. You hit some bumps maybe along the way, or you feel a bit more creativity as well to change things in the fives. And then the sixes are kind of like that time where you are making it through. You're in that calm. What's interesting about the Six of Swords, right? Swords are difficult situations, most likely. The Six of Swords to me was always very interesting because you have the swords piercing the boats, but they're still afloat. So that says to me difficulty, but persevering, right? So that's very interesting to me, because then I also have, like we said before, with the Ten of Wands, the wands are that enthusiasm. They're still pushing ahead. They're still moving forward, but they seem tired. So this is interesting because I feel like this is saying, I'm getting like Switzerland has the tradition, the know-how to get through it, but I feel like they're not going to play as well as people think they will. Like they're tired. Something is going on. Qatar is going to give them a big fight. So I'm trying to think of the only reason I say Switzerland is going to win is because they get the 10 of Wands. 10 is completion. They're at that point where they made it, right? They have the wands. They fought hard and they made it. But I think Qatar is going to give them a very, very, very good fight. So I'm going to go with Switzerland for this game. So let's see. Maybe Switzerland will win, but it sounds like it's going to be a tough game. At least that's what I get from my cards. Tough game. All right. This is very exciting. So what I didn't realize was how many games are played. And I didn't realize the commitment I made for myself when I decided to do all these predictions. My husband very kindly printed out this for me to show me how many games there are between June 11th and the 27th of June. And that's before you even get to the final stages. So that was I was surprised. But we're going to try as best as possible to do predictions for everybody because it is a lot of fun. And I'm going to pull my husband in when he's free. and we'll look at the cards, do some predictions. He has a lot more, of course, interest in the game, so he understands a lot of the teams. So he'll be looking at it in a different way than me. So it'll be very interesting. Now, the next team is, let's see, Brazil versus Morocco. They'll be playing in New Jersey, 6 p.m. So that's Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. on June 13th. So Brazil and Morocco. So I know a little bit about Brazil as a team. Very strong team. I don't know much about Morocco. So let's see what kind of cards we get for Brazil and Morocco. I like to shuffle as much as possible because I like to have that randomness of the cards as much as possible. All right. So again, this is Brazil and Morocco. They are playing June 13th, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. Oops. All right. Brazil on my left, Morocco on my right. So Brazil, we got the 2 of Swords. Death. Ooh, and the 4 of Swords. Those are not great cards. Ay, ay, ay. Morocco, we got the Wheel of Fortune. Could be a good card. The Empress again. And the Tower. Ooh, that's not a good card either. Oh, this is interesting. I originally thought that Brazil would do really well just from what little I know about Brazil, but it looks here that it's going to be tough. There's going to be a tough game. We have the 2 of Swords. Again, swords, difficult situations, hard, a hard game, making a choice. So what's interesting about the 2 of Swords is she's blindfolded. So 2s are about kind of making those choices or finding that yin and yang, finding that balance. When you're blindfolded, it's not that easy to do that, but maybe they're looking at it more intuitively because they're a strong team about the choices they make in their plays, or they may just not be making the correct choices in their plays. And that kind of causes this death card, which is like a change, right? So I think this is pretty much saying they're not playing anywhere near as good as they should be. Because then when we have this 4 of Swords. So what's interesting about the 4 of Swords, it's almost like there's a few cards that are kind of like minor arcana death cards. And this one's kind of like a minor arcana death card. You see this person laying there. They have 3 swords above them, 1 they're laying. They are not necessarily, this person that isn't necessarily not alive, but they are kind of, they're not relaxed, but they're taking a timeout, right? So maybe the team will have a lot of timeouts. Maybe they just don't get off to a good start. They don't do that well, but then they kind of take the time to rethink what they're doing. I think that's what this is saying. For Morocco, the first card they get is the Wheel of Fortune. So Wheel of Fortune talks about good luck turning bad luck turning good luck. Everything comes full circle. So if they don't play well in the beginning, usually that means towards the end, they'll kind of pull it off. If they're doing really well in the beginning, maybe towards the end, it's not that great, but then maybe it comes back again to good because it's like that 360 of a circle. The Empress, again, we have that new kind of beginning nourishment, maternal, taking care of something. Sometimes I wonder if the Empress card shows somebody maybe getting hurt, like needing that care. But then we have the Tower. So In all honesty, if the tower wasn't here, I would say that Morocco would be most definite to win because these cards are not great for Brazil. But the tower is a very bad card. The tower is changed. Everything is falling apart, right? You can rebuild something new, but at this moment in time, it's all going downhill. So what I see from these cards is a difficult game. I think Brazil is going to add, they're going to make a lot of mistakes at first, like they're just getting off on the wrong foot, but they kind of take that time to recover. But whether they win or not depends on really this last card. This last card is the tower. It is not good. It looks like Morocco is going to have a lot of ups and downs. They're going to try new things. They're going to try to make it work. But with the tower at the end, I think they fall short. So even though these cards are pretty tough for Brazil, because of this tower card for Morocco, it looks like it just doesn't work. So I'm going to go with Brazil. But I think this is going to be a tough game for both teams. Brazil may make some mistakes that they kind of beat themselves up about afterwards. So we'll see. But I'm going to go with Brazil. Hey, man, this is, I feel like I just watched the whole game just pulling these cards. So I'm very curious, like, say, for example, you watch the game and there is a lot of mistakes by Brazil, or they're just not playing up to par, playing up to their standard. That's very interesting. Like, that's kind of like what my cards are saying. If they do well and they have no problems, then I was completely off. Or I just read them in an odd way. But that death card, oof. All right, so next is Haiti and Scotland. They will be playing in Massachusetts at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, June 13th, Haiti, Scotland. I definitely don't know anything about either one of these teams. So this is a blind reading for Haiti and Scotland. I haven't the slightest idea if one is favored over the other. I really don't know. Haiti and Scotland. Haiti will be on my left. Scotland will be on my right. If anybody watched Clueless, I won't say Haitians, but it was very funny. All right, Haiti versus Scotland, June 13th, 9 p.m. Massachusetts time. Haiti, what do you got, Haiti? You got the Queen of Wands. Ooh, you got the Five of Cups. Ooh, you got the Nine of Swords. Ay. Scotland has the Page of Cups, the Hierophant. I get the Hierophant a lot. Ooh, and the Ten of Swords. Oh, Lord. These aren't great cards. The trials and tribulations of a game, I guess, The Queen of Wands is good, right? Wands before, right? We said enthusiasm, creativity, drive, right? Wands are very fire, masculine. Suits. Queen is a fantastic leader. She has wisdom. She is showing the feminine sort of qualities of leadership. She's not intimidated by things. She's very self-assured. She has developed skills. The Five of Cups. Again, fives are that time where things either go wrong or you get a little blip or you could have some freedom. But it also could be about instability and change. So fives, you want to be sure that you're not too impulsive. What the Five of Cups is showing here, right? You have this person who's staring at the cups that have spilt, but they are not looking at the cups that are not spilt. So they're kind of ruminating over mistakes. They're ruminating over things that have gone wrong instead of making sure that the things that have gone right stay going right. because then we get the Nine of Swords. And the Nine of Swords is a card that has a lot of despair associated with it. So you see this person who's in bed crying, right? It's like nightmares. It's like everything went wrong. Oh my God. So that's why for Haiti, I was like, ooh, these are not good cards. They start off strong and wanting to do well, and they have the skills, they have the ability. They start focusing on the mistakes, and they'll stay in that area. They'll stay in that mind, right? It's very psychological. They will, it says they will kind of lose, but it's hard for me to say that because I got the Ten of Swords here with this team. And this is who again? Scotland, right? We got the Page of Cups. So they got the Page of Cups is very interesting. Pages are apprentices. They are people that are preparing for success, which is good. But they're kind of naive, but they're hopeful, which is good. You have the cups. The cups are about relationships, culture, intuition, emotions. So it almost says they're going into this a little green when it comes to their emotions. Maybe psychologically, they're not as prepared. Haiti might be prepared a little bit more psychologically, but they have a strong tradition, right? So they have a strong tradition as a team. That means probably a good foundation for them. But then they get the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords, tens, completions, ends. This person has all these swords in their back. Maybe they will get red cards, yellow cards that they feel are not deserved. They may feel like, they were stabbed in the back. But who would win? This is a very difficult one. Could be a tie because both endings are just not that great. I would say Page of Cups, Hierophant are probably good cards. Queen of Wands, good card. These three cards, I would say, are bad cards. You don't want those cards. Yeah, it's like I feel as though Scotland will feel like they got some undue penalties that they didn't deserve. But because despair shows up with Haiti, I'm going to go that Scotland is going to win. I think Scotland's going to win. Maybe not by much. But because Haiti has this despair, that's why I'm going with Scotland. That's what I get. So interesting. So interesting. I'm very, very curious about how this will turn out. And I didn't mention before, today is June 10th. It's a Wednesday. I'm trying to do as much of these predictions as possible. Of course, before the game. What would be the point after the game? It is 8:30 in the evening for me. So I'm going to do June 13th and June 14th today. June 14th will be a different video. All right, so my last two teams are Australia and Turkey. Technically, Australia and Turkey are playing on June 14th, but they're playing at midnight. So they're playing in Vancouver, Canada. I don't remember which time zone that's in. So they will be on technically the 14th at midnight. Australia versus Turkey. I don't know much about these teams either, so we will see what we get. Australia versus Turkey. Australia versus Turkey. So, like I said, this is a lot of fun. Like, feel free to also pull cards. Let me know what you get. If you feel like you have any particular interest in any teams, let me know. If you feel like you know any of these teams pretty well, like you follow the teams, you have some inside knowledge, let me know. All right, so this is Australia on my left, Turkey on my right. Australia, we got the Magician. That's pretty good. Ooh, the Chariot. And the Ace of Pentacles. Those are pretty good cards. And then for Turkey, we got the Hermit, the Nine of Wands, and the Page of Wands. These aren't terrible cards for either. I would say Australia has a stronger cards, most likely, but then Turkey has wands, which I like to see. So the Magician is somebody who has all the tools. The Magician, you can see they have the pentacles, the cups, the wands. I'm forgetting one, is all on the table, right? The sword. So the Magician is the first card of the deck. The Fool card is the 0 card. They have all the tools. They can work their magic. They could be a trickster. They could help you out. They have the infinity symbol above their head. So it's good. I would say especially for a sports team, it's probably good to have all the tools, right? You got a little bit of everything. The Chariot here shows travel in the sense of moving on up, making headway. I think this is a good card for them. I think they're going to probably they might control the ball a lot within the game, because that's kind of like what this is saying to me. Like they are on their way, they're in charge. This is another major arcana card, so that is also good. And then the Ace of Pentacles. Aces talk about new beginnings. They talk about hopes of things. Pentacles talk about finance, career, protection, physical capabilities, right? We're looking at self-development when it comes to the Ace. Creativity, action, progress, new chances. So these cards are very good. I think this is showing that Australia is a strong team. They're going to make a lot of headway. And they're going to do well. They know their purpose, right? They have their purpose, and they're at the beginning of that, and they're ready to go. So this is a very good mindset, and they have a lot of tools, which means to me that they have a lot of strength. They have a lot of abilities. For Turkey, I get the Hermit. The Hermit is a major arcana card. The Hermit is interesting because this is a card of somebody who is searching for something. They're looking inward of themselves. This is almost like a spiritual card in a way. Like they have a strong spiritual foundation, which is also probably good subconsciously for them. Then we get the Nine of Wands. Again, wands are that fire energy, masculine creativity. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Nines talk about, you don't want to get too caught up in the big picture. Numerology, nines are kind of like ending cards. Tarot, the tens are more like ending cards. But with the nines, what you're doing is you're kind of getting to that end of the cycle. You know what you want and you know how to get it. So I feel like Turkey is coming. I think they have a great mindset as a team, which helps a lot. Will that overcome the abilities of the Australian team? I don't know. Both teams have a lot of drive. This Nine of Wands, when you see this person, they have a bandage around their head. So they've been a little bit beat, a little bit beaten up. They're still there, though. So I think Turkey may take a beating. Pages, again, we talk about that naivete, but they're preparing for success. They're willing to learn. They're hopeful. Because Turkey has the Nine of Wands, to me that says they took kind of like a beating, but they're still there. I might go with a tie, but the Australian team is very strong. They're really ready to go, which is great, and they're at a good beginning point. But I don't see Turkey out. So I think this is going to be a tie. I think they're both going to really hang in there and fight it out. And I think it's going to be a tie because Australia's like, okay, we didn't win, but we're there at a new beginning and we're going to go ahead. Turkey is at the page of wands, and they're like, okay, we didn't win. We're still kind of like that apprentice, but we're not out, right? I think that's how this game is going to go. So I feel like this is going to be a tie between Australia and Turkey. All right. So that's what I got for June 13th. We'll see how it goes, everybody. Again, this is for entertainment purposes only. If you place bets on anything, don't use me as your source. I don't want anybody losing anything. But yeah, but we'll see. Again, like I said, pull some cards, see what you get. If you have a favorite team, leave it in the comments. If you think you know who's going to win, leave it in the comments. It's a lot of fun to read the comments, and it helps out the channel. I'd love to get to 500 subscribers. That would be really great. So if you can help me out with that, I'd very much appreciate it. And I'll see you all later.